Welcome back to the second half of Hacking Infinity, the Eschaton. Um, so yeah, there's this big there's I mean there is a fight going on in space, but that's not nearly as desperate as the fights on the surface at this point. Uh, is there anything anybody wants to do before we go ahead and roll new direct conflict?
All I'm doing is picking
Okay.
up my friend from the
Yeah, that's
bakery.
chill.
Yeah, soup's chill.
Um, so yeah, if you could roll control. Uh-huh.
Roll control. What?
Yes, but it's
Roll
new
direct
direct
conflict?
conflict. So, or, unless you want to do roll direct conflict.
Right. Yeah. I just heard you say
No,
roll
no,
control. I was
no.
like, oh
Yeah,
no, is that a new
it
thing?
is a 2d10 roll plus control.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I got 10. Is that a good thing?
Not awesome.
Oh wait, no. With this,
awesome.
it's a bad thing, right? It's an 11.
But I think there was some mention of.
I need help.
Wanting
I need help from my
help.
friend.
Especially.
Should I just roll help then, or can I roll my own direct conflict as well?
No, I think it should just be both they interfere.
You should let us all have big firefights, like a Guardian of the Galaxy situation.
Okay, that that.
Got 11 though, right?
That gets it up to a better category.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
And you're kind of involved in it either way. So that is.
I don't really understand what's happening. You just said I saw tanks.
For
and
sure.
I was like, oh, it's go time.
More tanks to throw around.
Don't worry. I'll explain once you're on the ship.
Well, it is the rule of 3. You got attacked in the gate. You get attacked by tanks. And now your tanks show up again. You told them.
All I was doing was some simple research in the woods. None of this is my fault.
Okay.
None of it.
That's fine. I will hold you blameless.
Thank you. As long as you know, I've never done anything wrong in my life.
I know that in some sense. But I would like you to choose a result from table A and a result from table B.
I don't know if there's any needs I don't have. I'm gonna lose 1 morale.
Oh no!
And are there any clocks I can start or add to? What's the squee resent mushroom treatment? What's that about? I don't remember that.
That was you not being told about something important. Or it was a squeak in general not being told about something important that involved them, I believe.
I think it was me that I knew that I didn't know, but I knew that they were a recent race, and I didn't tell them about that.
Or is it I wasn't letting them know that Capstone did a thing?
Yeah.
Is that it? Anyways.
I should take a note about taking.
I'm gonna choose. Yeah. About this. So much is going on. 4 o'clock. Can I start a 4 o'clock about blowing up the planet?
Blowing up the planet entirely?
Or just like
sure.
The decimation of my enemy. Oh, Henry. Okay. because that's the target organization no longer being able to effectively oppose you. So
Oh,
they've ruined everything I loved. Turned my people against me. So I was about to say the clock's so tiny. Yeah.
it isn't that appropriate.
I'm gonna. Yeah. Then it has a second clock that I can look through at night. It's very creepy. Fine.
Okay. And
All right. Yeah.
Forward. And you are losing morale. Okay.
Oh, Henry, an unexpected enemy.
And I think that that quasi your part of this is like the heavy casualties. So as the the rescue ship is swooping in to pick you up. Well, you described to me how that particular part of the fight goes badly.
So is this just that my body is destroyed rather than me being picked up?
Thinking.
Is that the result? Okay, cool. So I guess I'm like fighting the tanks and stuff, and I'm punching them. It's great, and maybe I get a bit too into it, and there's some kind of like minor thermonuclear power core, and I'm like, oh, if I damage this power core, it will just blow up like everything in like 5 miles of here. That's great, and I don't, and including me, but that's fine. And yeah, so there's just a small mushroom cloud. Yeah, I suppose that's how I would go out in this situation.
And one of my ships goes down. Rip in peace.
But
West.
Yeah.
Squeeze.
But this assault on the assault on your base goes better for you, Brenadon. Do you want to talk a little bit about how that looks?
So I think it goes better because Quasi re-sleeves there and just starts murdering shit. Does that work for you, Quasi?
Oh, that you're speaking my language.
Is that a thing you'd be okay with? All right. I just want to make sure that I have the consent of all the players involved. In every situation, kids.
Okay. And
yeah.
And again, in space, things are also looking a little bit better. The ships have been Henry's ships have been turned on each other, and but before we before we open it up to what are you doing, Jakurt? I should do a thing, some sort of thing.
You've been doing so much. You should take a break.
I just had a break.
You work so hard.
Yeah.
I gotta have. I did.
Did you?
It was like a 5-minute break. It was nice. I went to the bathroom. I feel much better. I feel reinvigorated.
Still feel like you were scheming the whole time.
Okay.
Oh, and also everyone who died on my ship start coming out with Quasi too.
Absolutely.
Since the re-sleeving is in the thing. So.
Okay.
Yeah. which includes a callback to that really muscular squee dwarf. He's got kind of a wrinkly forehead. Yeah.
What up? He's really upset. He's like,
He loves to fight.
I don't like.
He hates the politics of the council and has been wanting to get his hands dirty for a while.
Ooh, okay. I think that. Oh, okay. So,
Yeah.
You, Kurt, you notice that Williams seems sort of like, it's like this tense situation, but you look over and he seems like distracted for like maybe not a full minute, but it's that they're having a Mindscape conversation, sort of distraction, and it lasts for essentially until you say, "Hey, what's going on?" Or your version thereof.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But then he
But okay.
Smiles and says, "Sir, we have full control of O'Henry's fleet. How would you? How shall we proceed?"
I think it is time to retarget our new asset. Let's bring the how should I say it, the party to O'Henry. So engage them.
Very well. Targeting now. Yes.
He goes into a Mindscape call.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
But I mean, there was something weird about that smile, and there may be something to pick up about the way he's doing this targeting. Do you want to do maybe do a scan or something? You want?
Oh, sure, I can check.
Yeah.
Williams is not the smiley type, that's for sure.
And let me pull up scan again.
Okay. Partial success.
So you can ask a question.
Okay. I'm gonna ask about what was the call about.
Oh, it's a
exactly.
It's a question from the scan list.
Okay, let me just check the list then. Scan. Okay. I got an 8, so if you character 11, character exact emotional state, how does the character intend to act upon the topic of the is your character either your character lying or how does your my character? What's your character intend to? How's your character intend to act upon topic conversation in the future? In other words, is there something more to the fact that he has control of this beyond the immediate, the immediate effect? Like he thought of an idea. Oh, I can use this for my own personal gain, perhaps. And I'm picking up on that.
Yes. Okay. So, it seems like he the things that he's targeting aren't necessarily like the most logical parts of O'Henry's infrastructure to target. Like it's not like the easiest target. It's not the hardest either. It doesn't look like he's like trying to sabotage the attack. But it's
second priority stuff,
like,
basically.
Military targets. It's like he's targeting sort of like the most valuable production facilities, like economic production facilities, rather than military production facilities.
Sons of bitches.
Yeah, I got it. And I asked him, Williams, why are we not targeting their military capacity so that we can neutralize them? We're not interested in destroying their economic society. This is not our role. You understand your mission parameters, correct?
Well, sir, there are other interests to consider. I have been on the line with Capstone ISM, and they have made a most generous offer to ensure that we do in fact win the overall conflict with O'Henry, and start off on a good and productive working relationship with the corporation.
Williams, you don't seem to understand that Capstone is our ultimate enemy, correct? That we are engaging with O'Henry as a way of gathering allies and support to take down Capstone. That Capstone is, in fact, the largest and most destructive force in our current situation. Ergo, making deals with the devil must be done very carefully and not in the spirit of the moment. They will call in their debts very quickly. We're not to be indebted to our own enemies. Do you understand? And as I say that, I kind of look over my shoulder like two armed guards, like, you know, I just glance at them like.
And he says,
they know.
Respectfully, sir, it was not Capstone that just tried to destroy us.
Mm-hmm.
But by all means, if you want, you have a good point. And this is definitely like about duty, and you have the significant glance to the guards. So if you'd like to manufacture some consent or something along the lines that, or possibly it
Direct conflict. Murder him.
Murder him now.
Huh?
Murder him now.
That's a little squee. It's so cute.
Also, don't look at chat. I may have been all capsing this.
Oh.
And this is where his smart ass kicks in. It's like, Williams, I'm afraid that your that streak that you have in your back has taken over your lizard brain. No, we will not do any deals with. And I say this now so that everybody can hear it in the immediate area. It's also transparent. We're not going to deal with Capstone, as in we're not going to be subservient to them. We're going to deal them a death blow soon enough. So, retarget O'Henry's military facilities.
Uh,
Now.
and
I guess I have to make a roll to make sure that
and
so
as you
social
do that, he
pressure
looks
brought
over
on
to the
him as
guards
well.
like, is this where your bread's buttered?
Mm.
Okay, social moves.
Let me see. So it's manufacture consent and crossing of the fingers.
Okay.
And this is where the one prayer earned his name, because I just rolled and that was my last prayer.
I suppose it's theoretically possible to get help, but it would need to be explained. Or we can just go forward.
Okay, on 9.
So you're trying to command him to redirect the troops to more military bases.
Because I don't want to lose control. I'm afraid that the reason he has control is because Capstone gave it to him.
Sure.
So that's what I'm afraid. I want to keep the control of the assets without, doing what Capstone wants. But clearly, I have a 6, so I need something.
I mean, I've been firefighting around your ship. You could have opened communications while this display was happening, but it doesn't sound like you're the kind of person who would do that.
No. Although,
Yeah.
well, I am getting desperate, but it can't be done retroactively, can it?
Okay.
I mean, is it part of asking for help would be to open channels with the Squeaky so they
maybe you sensed his Capstone interference and wanted to just have like a witness to it.
Yeah.
And like as he's saying, "Oh, is this what you want?" You could like slowly like lower the shield where he's standing, and then like a laser blast comes through. Well, I'm not saying you should kill him, but I have several times in chat with rapid succession.
Yes, we're gonna go for the murder option. Yes.
There's only one way I can help. I mean,
yeah.
Or interfere. Either way.
Well, hey, that's the 8. That's the 8. I'm gonna turn it over.
I'm rolling. I'm rolling
All right.
dice.
All right.
1. I got you to succeed partially.
So you are tied into whatever bad side of this happens, but it does at least nominally succeed. So you do need so as it stands, your guards of the bridge are kind of they do lift their weapons and point them vaguely in the direction of Williams, but not. But I mean, it's like there's a little bit of triangulation between pointing them at Williams and pointing them at you.
They're aimed at the side of Williams that's the closest to you.
And they're not like moving in to arrest him.
And see the camera first person from the guard going like.
Yeah, if you want my assistance without blowing a hole in your ship, I could just teleport a Squee into his physical space and injure him like that.
Or, well, if we're talking about manufacturing consent, you could just send vids of the horrible massacres that O'Henry people does on your people.
Well, yeah, let's.
As a reminder, it's like, poop. Here's some video.
You have to pick some stuff first, so.
Okay, I gotta pick. Okay, on 9. That's now what we have a 9. They do as requested in Mark.
This is for an NPC, so they just need some leverage or evidence before they'll act on your request. And this was you got to that point by help from the squee squee. Is this and so the original plan was to just like blow up Williams by like lowering a part of the shield. We can.
Yeah, but instead of maybe lower part of the shield and like a data burst comes through instead.
Yeah, that would make sense.
It's not quite as
okay. So
effective as violent.
Because we are good at PR and violence.
This will be short-term retcon, but another way we can handle this is that you absolutely do like lower a shield or whatnot. The blast comes through, nails Williams, but the situation in terms of loyalties hasn't been resolved, and like he'll like step out of the step out of your or a resleeving machine and continue to be a problem.
Yeah. So depending on what choices you pick, that's like two ways.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with the what's the choice here? You need some leverage. So basically, the evidence would be the data burst, not the
Yeah.
I think that's the best one.
Like it looks like a laser hits him, but then like it just like gets absorbed into the computer system, and all these screens start popping up of the tortured poor squee and the experimentation's done wrong.
So
yeah,
injecting that is enough to cause things from going fully badly, but it's not the evidence or leverage itself. So, but I mean, this is not, this is not all of a sudden a full schism, because you still have your morale. It's just like him in particular being a problem.
Yeah, that's still happening.
And trying to get others to come along with. So, there's all there's videos of all the squee being horribly abused and massacred, and but still having that fighting squee spirit.
And also he needed stuff against Capstone, right?
Yeah, the also images of just squee going like
doing their own experiment, and then like maybe something slightly altered of like Capstone coming in and like stealing the machines back, and like crying babies who only wanted to learn how to do math. Yeah.
So we can move on and see how this evolves, or if there's something else you want to do right now, you have that.
Yeah.
You certainly have that option.
Well, at least close the scene. Go, my final speech to put it in context. This, and I close and I move close to the where he's standing and the console, and I put my hand on the console. This is the people you're dealing with. This is the devil you're willing to do trades with. So, your choice now, Williams.
He says there's we're an intelligence outfit. There's always going to be a devil to deal with.
Yes, but we choose to deal with them. I choose to deal with them. That is my responsibility, not yours, Williams. Remember that. Yes, I understand that you under fire where some of us, panicked, but that's not good enough.
Understand? I understand what you're saying, sir. Yes.
Sorry.
There's a knock on the bridge door.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Let's close the scene, shall we?
So, I think that yeah, rather than just calling it closed, let's do one more roll, because I think that there is like I think there's an implied ultimatum here.
Yeah. That would be.
No, I don't think we've
given ultimatum.
So let's do that.
Let's do that, shall we?
Sweet. There you go. Okay. Yes. Yes.
Oh, the meeting.
So yeah, he's definitely threatened. And you get to choose one of those top two.
Okay. Target doesn't mean analysis. I think he's clever enough to take number 2, which is the target fully complies with the intent of the demand, but takes measures to protect themselves from the further threats in the future.
Yeah. So he.
Since I haven't resolved the overall morale thing, I think that would be the most logical thing to go to.
So yeah, he says. Yes, sir. I see that we have come to opposite sides of this matter, and I do not wish to further undermine your authority. Perhaps it is best if I withdraw to my quarters for now, and perhaps going forward I will find a different way to make myself useful to the Eschaton. Is that acceptable, sir?
Yes. Thank you, Williams. I appreciate it. And that appreciation just dripped with sarcasm. I was like, I really appreciate it.
Like you've started to turn away before you finished saying it too.
Like the echo. It's like,
yeah,
I really appreciate it. And everybody knows that.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
So. That was cool. So.
I got to laser someone, but it was just with data.
Yeah.
Well, I'm an information broker, so that works. Okay. And now I really have to take a break.
So, Quasi.
Buongiorno.
Your people on New Vegas, continue to contact you. Essentially, what they want to know is whether they should start the fight against Capstone right now on New Vegas, or whether they should all kill themselves and join you.
Well, that is a good question. I mean, how is it looking over there where you are? Is it, there's not fighting already, is there?
There's a slot machines in the background.
Well, it depends what you mean by whether there's fighting already. I mean, yes, there was a bit of conflict when we were cut off from the from joining you originally. There may have been some casualties around the gate. The gate itself may have been somewhat damaged, but we are not currently engaged in a firefight.
And have you maybe considered, say, being a baker?
If the
Just putting it out there.
Is there a version of Baker that would let us kill people in honor of the goddess?
Okay, well, one,
Yes,
the goddess
exactly.
is inside you, so you're killing people for yourself, not an external. Yeah, there. Okay, but that's good. No, if you want to kill for the goddess inside you rather than baking, that's fine. Just checking. I met some bakers who'd rather be corpses earlier, so I was just checking. Okay, great. Well, I mean, if it's quiet over there, I suppose come over here. I don't really know what we're doing. I mean, I even think let's do the third thing, where just go to like a capstone mining barge or just some kind of unmanned facility of theirs that makes them money and blow that up. Neither of these planets are that important to them.
Of course. But they say of course, but if you could roll Troop Commander, that'd be awesome. Oh no!
I'm shaking my head.
Oh, that's the other one. Okay.
Oh, well, you do you, Fanners.
So yeah, I think that they they see nothing wrong with the idea of going after like Capstone financial infrastructure. But I guess it does like yeah.
So every third time we've gotten a red one.
It's Roll20, just setting, making sure that everybody has the same same feels.
Same feels.
They're all yes, of course. We'll go after the mining facility, although there is a little bit of gambling that we need to finish off first. But we'll get right on it.
Oh, yes. No, gambling's great. That's just
excellent,
a way to milk the poor and disenfranchised. Yeah, blow all that up. Good thinking. Look how far they've come.
Blow them up with the poor inside, of course.
Yeah, then they can respawn somewhere nicer. It's perfect.
Thank you, sir.
Praise
the goddess.
Yes.
Oh, that's a good thing. I dinged them back. Okay, so you know how it's great murdering people because they can just come back, maybe even in a better life. So sometimes you're doing them a favor, right?
Is it, would it be as big a favor as
Following
this
me?
inside straight hitting?
Oh my, okay. Anyway, I'm just going to ignore this and plow on with my point. That some people actually don't know that death can be a sweet release and they can actually respawn in a better life. So maybe yell that while murdering them. And tell them to eat lots of fruits and vegetables while you're at it. Okay, good luck on the river. Bye.
And one of them goes like, "Murdering for freedom? Yay!"
Yeah, they seem I mean, there's like no direct reply, but they seem positively inclined towards yelling at everyone around them that they shouldn't commit suicide for freedom. Yeah.
Lovely gamble.
Not quite high. Imagined it in my mind, but okay, that's fine too. That's fine too.
I'm gonna murder you on this craps table.
There may be some murder if that inside straight doesn't hit. Possible. So that's all going on while you were cleaning up the problems around the squee base. There's still like forces outside. But what are you doing? What's the plan, or is there a plan?
Well, first of all, what was attacking the base? Was it like robots or like soldiers?
Okay, so
or
it was these
like more tanks or
it was
Capstone.
these big sort of bug-like things with these like feathery antennae. Yeah.
Little front on the front, yeah, and they like dissolved metal things.
It's
Oh no, I get the
Rust
rust
Monsters going
so
wild,
just
but they
the rust
have
monsters going wild. There weren't other people attacking.
high-tech weapons grafted onto them.
Capstone weaponry. Yeah.
Sure,
and
sorry,
also there's like some sort of bombardment situation.
Okay, yeah. That was the bit. I imagine there was also like an external factor attacking rather than the rust monsters.
If it was just the kids, I would have just killed them and started again.
They don't have backup from somebody else. Henry is.
Oh, is it?
Is not there with their forces directly.
I thought he had entreated Capstone to destroy my resurrection machine.
Well, but I mean, he did the way that manifested.
I guess I find
like,
Pteranodon
that the supposedly newly freed and independent rust monsters attacked.
Sure, they triggered the back door that we put in their brain because we're.
You only wanted the best for them. I'm certain.
So I think you're there. You're there with Dwarf, and he is saying something to the effect of, "The situation has gotten out of hand. We need to take the resurrection machine to our primary ships. Must secure it from this dangerous facility."
Okay, what's so special about it?
It's ours. We stole it. It's very nice. We put stickers on it and everything.
Oh, stickers! Oh, how novel. Well,
you've only got the one.
Okay. Oh, it's a portable one. I see. Oh.
Yes.
Oh, I used to have one of those.
Like when you resurrected, you had to like crawl out of it. It was very crap. But for us, it's perfect.
Oh, that's lovely. So, Dwarf, here's the thing.
Yes.
I've been, wandering around all day looking for, some evil to smite. I'm new to this. I used to be a baddie, trying the other side. And I just can't seem to find
the good guys.
Obviously, I mean, look at you.
Just very tiny military armor
on. So I don't know. I mean, do Capstone have like a head office or something?
Could yeah, or you could.
Vegas.
I did have another idea. We should probably.
To see if they got,
Go ahead.
A head office other than New Vegas.
Oh, I've got a bonus to that at the moment. Well, you see, I was thinking we should probably just blow up this planet.
Yes, that's what we wanted to do.
Yeah, no, I think it'll really be best for everyone involved.
It's not even our planet. Does it ever work?
People don't own planets, except those people that do. But other than them, you don't own planets.
You know what's better than one big planet? Dozens of tinier planets.
Oh, we could. I'm responding positively.
Field.
Okay. Well, maybe more like a bunch of moons. I was more thinking. We could have them as moons orbiting the sister planet, and then everyone gets a chance to start again, and the people do like one thing. No, are you okay? I vote yes on blowing up the planet. What do you vote?
Yes.
Okay.
Like several little pilots just like, yeah.
Okay, I mean,
they are easily swayed.
Punching the floor really hard.
Blowing up the planet would be a long-term project.
What? Is there a fail-safe?
But I mean, you have very advanced tech. Yeah, you have
synergize and expedite
very advanced technology. You have
project.
dangerous ships. Let's see. Where is that? There it is.
So the plan here is to turn dirt into dust.
A series of moonlets. Right?
Dirt into clod.
Definitely pieces large enough to habitate. I don't just mean like two people. Like
I think I'm going to call this a 2 o'clock. And
we're working together.
It will have a it'll have a dangerous flaw.
No downside.
Go figure.
Blowing up the planet has a dangerous flaw? Come on, Brad. This is unrealistic. My version.
And and it'll definitely cost. It's going to cost 2 points of permanent woofie. Because not only is there like the machinery that you would have to get a hold of to blow up the planet, but you'd be blowing up an Eschaton planet, and that would in fact affect your permanent woofie. That is one way of interpreting it.
We're making more of them. I have 2 woofie right now. I will burn one of them and become a poor race of deerlets.
I'll go halves with you. We'll go halves.
Yeah. You go Dutch.
Here we go.
Yeah. Working as friends, doing our best. Making our way in the galaxy today. Doing everything we can.
I mean, it's not like the galaxy lacks planets. I mean, so lots of them. So.
Be a lot more when we're done.
Yes. Urban renewal.
Also, I think you should probably, do most of the blowing up the planet, and I'll.
Oh, can I?
Oh, please. And then I'll punch the people who try to stop you.
Oh, well, that's very nice of you. I've always
I'm
wanted to blow up a
imagining
planet.
they'll find out, and I've done a bunch. You take this one. Because I imagine they will find out and try to stop us, and so I'll punch them.
Probably. I'm rather fond of this place. There's not much here. Just trees, rocks, and cities and people.
Well, I used to know a fellow who would go to some very, very extreme lengths to rearrange planets. So this is nothing. They would have. Oh,
Ah,
I can't even get started. I'll weep. But this is, this is par for the course.
yeah, lovely. Friendship.
Synthesis. In this, well, okay,
What do
for
we roll for
friendship,
friendship?
that'd probably be suave, but for the long-term project of blowing up the planet, that's. Yes, but
well, it's technically quasi-seen.
no,
Quasi
it's okay.
roll.
I will allow you to roll since you're. Yeah, if this was a organization move, then I normally would have to. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. You're so kind. Yeah. Well.
And like, should I help as
you're
people
both
are?
Kind of bad at this, but it's okay.
Oh.
Okay. So you.
Okay. I mean, murder is easy. Blowing stellar bodies, it's a little harder.
Is quasi murder fugue state assisting me?
Yeah. Sure.
Yes. Can I?
Yeah. 10 plus.
Would that matter? I mean, would it get to 11? Change it.
The 10 plus will make this happen.
Okay.
There'll be
this is just
like
normal.
I'll definitely be like making some moves in between the scene where you put all this into place and it blows up, but it if you damn okay
10.
Yeah. Okay, so
teamwork, friendship.
That puts it up to a 10. Let me. I do want to see whether there's some sort of involvement in the outcome because the actual roll to help was a 7 to 9. Help NPC gets 7 to 9, but the active NPC's modified roll is 10 plus. The help NPC incurs no penalty. Okay, so yeah. Other than there being a problem with the whole
the planet
project of blowing up the planet. Dun dun dun.
I have a question before this kicks off. So I'm losing my resurrection machine in this deal. Can I?
You can.
I'm not, but I'm blowing the planet up. The machine's on the planet.
It's portable. Just put it in your boot, and
I have very tiny shoes. What?
Okay, so you very quickly get the stuff together. Well, okay, actually, you describe to me how it is that you're what technologies you're putting into place, what you're doing to blow up the planet. Okay.
So I think
they've
been in this mountain building a while.
And in describing this, if there's some sort of like organization move that you want to roll into this scene, you may want to set up for that as part of your explanation of how you proceed.
I'll tell Spook how my people know a little bit about blowing up planets, and then Spook can carry it home if they wish to roll that into an orc move. If that's so, they've been in this planet for a while, and I think, much like the dwarves, they dug too greedily and too deep to collect the rest monster specimens. And it's really about like reopening those tunnels and finding the machines left behind to overcharge them and then escaping. But like when they're carrying the machine out, they're like carrying it like just all together like ants, just like hut, 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 hut. Yeah.
Yeah, I think going to the planet's core is great. Maybe as well there is like terraforming machinery down there from when the planet was built in the first place, and so we're using like the terraforming lasers to just like segment the planet,
turning it into a giant clock.
Ah, the meta. The Eschaton meta. Yeah, yes. We're turning the planet into a clock with the terraforming lasers. It's all come full circle. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And a mechanical one too.
Okay. We got there.
Yeah.
And then people will try and stop us, and I will roll direct conflict because I haven't done that today. Hooray.
Yeah. Okay, so I think as part of this, certainly the
he just wants to fight.
Keep on blanking on the damn name. The Crimson Permanent Assurance.
Have you seen Monty Python stuff? It's the big building, the accountancy firm that goes along and.
I only vaguely remember it, but it's
from The Meaning of Life.
Yeah.
The dueling buildings, they're shooting at each other.
Yeah. That's
on
it. With like filing cabinets.
Yeah.
Sailing on the high accounts. Yes, it's wonderful.
That's I think after the man explodes. I think.
No, it's the thing before the Meaning of Life.
Okay.
It's like a pre-movie.
But that is the one where the man explodes.
Yeah. Mr. Creosote. He eats too much.
So
a lesson for us all.
They are going to make a final push. They're not going to be able to stop the machine from going off, but they may be able to stop you from getting the resleeving machine off planet.
My stickers.
So, let's rather than doing this as a resist outside influence, I think it's much more. I think it comes down to Crimson Permanent Assurance breaking into the chamber where this is happening and quasi defending. Is that?
Murdering them all.
Sure, I kind of as well.
Okay.
I want to go down with the ship, and by ship I mean planet.
So, if you want to make.
He is our helicopter covered in stuffies on fire. And we're escaping out the global sluice tank way.
So, Quasi, would you like to use some force?
Yeah,
no,
and
is it used force?
Is it used force or is it the new
directly
2d10 one?
Fighting yourself rather than it being organization level thing. Okay. So they do indeed have have state-of-the-art weapons because Capstone ISM is like that. And you probably don't care about that since you want to go down with the thing anyway. But you can choose 3 things off of that list. But you are exchanging harm.
Great. So I'll take the harm because, as you say, we're going to explode.
Sorry.
I'll
okay,
take.
So I'm assuming that the primary objective is to allow the Squee Squee to get the resleeving machine off planet. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, for people to evacuate. Yes. So I achieve my objective, but there's a complication. And then for a second one, I will avoid said complication from the secondary objective of avoiding a complication. And then for the third one, I'll achieve another secondary objective of I'll put out basically like a little I'll send out like an email to like everyone on the planet that's like a cheat sheet for respawning, letting people know what their actual options are for respawning. If that makes sense. Just like little, hey, about to die horribly in the name of the goddess? Well, here are your options. You don't have to go back to your old life. There's this planet.
Probably
it's
going
sunny,
back to
that kind of stuff.
their old life doesn't rank among anybody's options on dirt.
There's a very thin level of people who would love to go back to their old life, though.
I mean, I'm in the religion business.
Well,
so
I mean, there's other choices.
Them having a choice,
you know,
is
plenty
really
of worlds where they could resleeve. They don't have to resleeve back in this system. Most will probably want to. Yeah, yeah.
And now they have a helpful cheat sheet letting them know.
Yeah.
There's about to be a bunch of new real estate
but
too.
I guess the rust monsters, like, they emerge through like the walls and the ceilings and stuff, and they're like pew-pewing with the lasers, and I guess the lasers are like bouncing off the armor, and I'm like plowing through them. But then one of them actually manages to like eat a bit of the power armor, and I get like kidney shot or something. So I'm like, breathing and coughing up blood and be like, still while, squishing their little faces.
Familiar territory.
And then I have the idea about, like, as I see, like, the taking off, I have the idea about the cheat sheet. I'm like, oh, that would be helpful. I'm, like, limping over to a console and typing. Another one comes in, and I, like, smush it against the wall.
Is there a point where you're, like, looking over these bodies, and they become very, like, extra insectoid, and you're reminded of, like, the last massacre before you left that other dimension, too? Like, one looks up at you, and, like, the way its face feels like it could have been your face.
Oh, some things never change, do they?
Okay.
Maybe I'll be a cat next life. We'll give that a try.
All right. So crazy. Let's let me shift to game overlay. No, maybe I can't move this thing. Oh, I think it's perfect. But in that case, this there you go. That's what I want. Extra large. Ooh. Mark out dirt or dirt. However, look, there's all these convenient little moonlets.
Look, I wasn't planning ahead, I promise.
Cool. Okay.
And as well, because
Crimson Permanent
the
Assurance.
Rust Monsters,
I remember
sorry, I
now.
keep forgetting the name. Everyone does apparently. Because they
Oh yeah,
they came online before all this, it means they also get to respawn.
Mm-hmm.
So that's great too.
Yeah.
The best day.
Maybe a new Megres. There could be a lot of metal there to eat.
Well,
I'm
only
sure nobody
a
lives there,
synthetic
right?
life form
Right?
that generally is made out of metal.
I think somebody lives there. That's why we named it. Super delicious. Yum, yum, yum. Go do a chomp.
So, Chakurt. Yeah.
Now I gotta
get,
deal with the after.
Yeah, you get this
We're
highest of
helping.
high level contacts from what is their freaking name? Not contingency services, not written down here maybe. Probably not. Special circumstances. Yes, thank you.
Isn't it special circumstances?
You know, saying that emergency. There's a buildup of. Damn it.
And I look at the local watch and says, hour, minute, whatever, and says TUE as in Tuesday. I believe there was someone's Tuesday.
Yes.
This is problematic.
This changes things. This changes priorities.
Indeed.
We did nothing wrong. Okay.
Shh. You focus on the gameplay. I mess with chat.
For now, chart a course for an important planet. Here, surviving planet. Chart a course for New Vegas. We need to do some rethinking and R&R. And of course, begin the investigations to see who exactly detonated.
So special circumstances, still,
possible.
In addition to like that,
everybody knows
emergency that they pushed, they are squirting to you all the information they have on it, and they essentially know that okay, so they don't necessarily know that Quasi was involved, because single individual on the planet that might not be clear, but I think they do know that the squee squee blew, were primarily involved in blowing up the planet. Like they can see their intelligence agencies, so they have system resources. They can see any necessary things being ordered by looking at the record, and they're motivated to do so.
a space Amazon Prime of like a bunch of pics and nuclear explosions and
the Eschaton version of Amazon Prime is not nearly as horrid and monopolistic. Yeah. I mean, it is like a
Amazon Prime.
Call it a marketplace of a bunch of, you could call them retailers, except that it's like reputation economy and so yeah, I mean, reputation economy is not like the perfect end result of where everybody's happy.
So basically, glad I blew that planet up.
But
also, I'm not with them Twitch overlords. I will chill for you.
But
never chill. Never surrender.
So they traded in all their reputation just to get the essential
materials. You definitely get the feeling, like, as far as they're concerned, Capstone is no longer the primary threat in the system. I mean, you can decide. Sure.
Can I do something? And as you get this, like, you get a data burst that basically says, we're going off to seek our own fortunes. It's finally time we stood on our own 4 feet. And you see 3 little ships burst into hyperdrive and leave the galaxy.
I guess we're on the hunt then.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna push towards like, and we definitely don't have to like resolve it as like a PvP thing at all. We can just say, that's the story.
Because blowing up planets clearly disrupts the finely tuned machine and of state and existence that is the Eschaton. We cannot allow this. Capstone will have to wait. And I have decided, because that's my job, that we are putting Capstone on the freeze for now. So the chips jump out, and moments later, the one player jumps after them.
yeah. Yours are faster.
I'm a fast ship. I'm always just ahead of you.
That's what makes the chase exciting. It's like,
yeah. But we stop to cause chaos so you can catch up.
Yeah.
It's a very,
look, it's a planet's on fire. Oh, we found them.
Kirk and Khan situation. I don't know. I didn't really watch the.
Yeah. Well, the way that it worked, actually, they would have reworked all life in the planet instead of blowing it up. So Genesis device was like, kind of actually one of the best super weapons out there in sci-fi, but we're not gonna go there.
So does anybody have like a?
I'm sure people on the internet would have
thing that they would like to do.
Yes. So I would like to. So there's been like a running joke throughout the series where like I've been on this body the whole time. I've multiple times attempted to re-sleeve into a different variation of my body, and it's never worked. So after the planet blows up on a small planet, out of the way of anything, not like one of the ones we've seen, maybe even one of these new little ones after it's formed, Quasi respawns in like one of their different bodies. It's not like this combat killing machine, and maybe it's a bit it's a bit furry and a bit cat-like. And you see them, basically trading in their one woofie that they've got left for something, this mysterious thing. It's being like shipped over by this like big black ominous helicopter, and the helicopter like drops this big black crate, and it's this big black cube, and they're like eagerly like rubbing their hands, and they're like, yes, now we shall see. And then the crate like falls and opens up, and it's this like beautiful pink bakery. And they're like, yes, yes. And then you see them like put on this apron and go into the bakery. And Quasi's going to be a baker for a while. They may get called back to the life of violence in the future, but For now, they're going to try just pick a baker.
How does Quasi make bread dough? He needs it. Does he specialize in making biscuits?
Okay.
I'm revoking my unconditional love for you.
I don't know.
Yeah, way to good run.
I mean, I've got a kitty in my lap right now, so I forgive you.
Yeah.
It's I understand.
Oh.
So our friendship is ending now.
And you brought it back. You brought it back. I love you again now. Oh god, the roller coaster.
So, thank you. That was awesome.
Thanks, Brad.
That was crazy.
And I imagine like a Little Prince situation where it's just like this moonlit, and the only thing there is in it
very tiny.
This huge bakery, you know, with a sign saying, you know,
and a little bit of grass.
Needed biscuits, you know, and pointed down. It's like so just floating in the.
But NEEDED.
Yeah. And a winking kitty.
There's probably like those not like immediately, but you know, a little bit after you set up shop, I guess on like the you know this moonlit that pretty much just has room for just the bakery. Is this how that looks, or is this no, this is in Civilization. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no! I imagine it was either like you know, he either does it after the moonlight's been developed and there's like other stuff, or they just go to like somewhere that's been developed. But yeah, they're trying to like blend in, not be like immensely baked.
I think I mean, I think they're probably like is opportunity like, you know, to like if you wanted to set up a bakery on the moonlit, and that a lot of O. Henry's people, I imagine, just they want to cling on to what they know to the degree that they can in terms of like the physical territory of where dirt was. So like the all the moonlets become sort of like this archipelago of
yeah.
And
they have like the gravity barrier, so they always stay at equal distance from each other.
Re-sleeve as again a ball of tentacles that's like space worthy, and they just like kind of jet back and forth amongst the moonlets, but you know, probably you know, they all learn about the Eschaton because they go through the whole re-sleeving thing, and they get informed, so it messes with
No. Is O. Henry punished for his dastardly ways of attacking me that one time?
O. Henry maybe, you know, maybe deserves it, but I mean, there's the punishment of their you know, yeah, like there's a schism there for sure.
Lost power.
But there's
literal
no official punishment other than losing, you know, half the population to progress.
It's okay. The squee will return. They have long memories.
Very easy. Oh, okay. So we should probably talk a little bit about things that worked, things that didn't work. What like in terms of the system, in terms of the campaign, in terms of what?
Label interpretation. label interpretation I had a problem with, as is probably evident in several of the episodes. What I thought things meant weren't what you thought things meant. And as we went on, the number of steps we had to go through to do a thing got shortened, which was good. It does seem that even if you succeed, you always make a move on us anyways. And I was never quite sure where that was coming from.
Specify why I kept on making all these moves.
Yeah, and it wasn't just like on breaks and stuff. It's like we would succeed, and you're just like, oh well, these guys put their pinball machines in your thing, and I'm like, well, there was no roll for it.
Yes.
There was no.
Okay. So
like I couldn't resist it all. It just happened.
Is that and I'm that this is something that I'm sorry that I wasn't clear on like during the campaign. That it certainly should have been, and I apologize. I think I may have made some mention of it, but it weeks sometime went by between games, so it's
in the early days where
and I didn't reiterate. But there's like a specific, and I'm looking for it. There's a specific play structure that that is cooked into the game, where between PC scenes, I automatically get to make 1 to 2 moves. And you.
Okay.
So, but I got a question too. Sorry. Are those moves designed to set up the next scene, or as a reaction to the last scene?
Combination.
Or
of
combination.
Let me. I guess I'll just read it out then, rather than trying to put it up on the screen. As the scene ends, the MC should consider the personal scenarios of the active PC. At this point, the MC has several options. Weave a move relevant to one of those personal scenarios into the scene end. Weave a move relevant to the common threat into the scene end. End the scene, then make a personal scenario or common threat move between PC scenes. If the active PC has 2 personal scenarios, make a move while winding up the scene, and another move between scenes. Up to 1 of these moves can pertain to the common threat. All others must pertain to a personal scenario. If the active PC has 2 or more personal scenarios, make 2 moves between scenes. 1 of these moves can pertain to the common threats. All others must pertain to a personal scenario. The difference between those two being that it can be during the wind-up or between scenes, or I can end the scene and decline to make a move.
Okay. All right. So I didn't know that was happening. It just seemed like you kept getting to make these moves without rolling, or you would put stuff into the narrative that wasn't part of what we had talked about before the rolls happened. Yeah. So had I known that,
well,
I would have felt less weird about certain situations.
Lack of.
Yeah. Yeah. But now I know for the future when I play this game again, because I've played Call of Cthulhu with a person who made us roll 3 times high DC to get out of a room and cross a hallway, and he was like, well, you have to, it's my job to work against you guys. I'm like, well, yeah, within the boundaries of the rules and the narrative, not forcing us to fail constantly, and I just maybe had some residual like squeakiness about that I was kind of not sure about, and I wasn't sure how to approach it in game or how to phrase the questioning for it. So
yeah,
thank you for explaining it.
Notes, I think, yeah, there needs to be something about making the make yeah.
Party going on somewhere.
And
yeah, dogs.
strangely not mine either.
Not my dogs.
Maybe they're my dogs.
Here. Yeah. Okay. So that's sort of a. I mean, I guess that's just sort of like a MC thing. Like as you're explaining the game, it's important to at least mention the scene structure thing. But
yeah, and like between things like say I'm using my turn to make this move as part of the narrative, like keep reassuring that that's what's happening, because somebody who's starting out in this game, there are a lot of like nested rules, and sometimes the names are very similar, so that's hard to parse, especially with somebody who like I don't understand like certain words. I remember like how long they are. Like I don't. It's a weird dyslexia thing, so I got lost a lot more than other people.
Yeah. Well, okay. So. Yeah, I guess there's two different things going on that. Like there's like the sort of the excess complication aspect, which I definitely want to boil down to like an essence that wouldn't be confusing. And then there's the that I don't expect the players to read the whole rules. Like that's I don't think that's a reasonable expectation. That's not the way role playing games are often played. I mean, it can be done, but it shouldn't be critical unless you're playing Pathfinder.
Pathfinder, not even once.
I survived 3.x. I remember. Oh God, I remember.
Wait, people not like Pathfinder? What? No, I played
one
serious.
game once.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a long story. I'm just saying that for those of us who survived 3.0, 3.5, and others might have been a bit too much.
I thought it was fine, but I'm like, I got something going on. See, I definitely agree with a lot of the stuff that Daza said. Definitely the whole like GM turn thing. I didn't know that was even a thing. So yeah, definitely. Yeah, that being clearer. Some of the things that you've already been talking about, like smooshing things that would normally be two roles into one role. That's really nice. The way the new conflict thing works with the 2d10 and the picking from columns, I really like that, because especially with the like pick a bad, pick a good, pick an A, pick a B, I think that's quite fun. I suppose the one thing that like upsets me about the game is the roles at the start are just like sometimes it like makes sense. I mean, with like my stuff, it was like kind of cool because like I'd sort of asked for that, but like I think for some people it could be like at the start of the game you're rolling to see if you get to have fun this week or not. And so I think that could be potentially dangerous, especially when some people don't have to roll at the start. Then you get a bit more bitter about it from that. So I'd say those would be the main things. Definitely the bracket of labeling and labeling, splooshing things together, and don't make us roll to see if we can have fun.
Because that whole roll at the beginning, I believe, was like directly transplanted from Apocalypse World. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it fits here.
Oh yeah, like that's like a supplies thing. But isn't in Apocalypse World everyone rolls it? Isn't that part of?
Oh yeah, I think it is.
System?
I think it is.
Also, as well, this is literally my first like powered by the Apocalypse game. Like I've never rolled a 2d6 7 to 9 game before, so I have no other reference to draw from.
Yeah.
I know these games are supposed to spiral down too, so that's.
The only game I played is Dungeon World, and it doesn't have that role, so it probably comes from Apocalypse World. So.
Once we started being very clear about when you're like, oh, roll this, and then look at this and tell me what you want. Like I didn't know to look at the rolls versus to look at the handouts, and then you're like, oh, it's this handout. Like I didn't know what folder that was under. Like I didn't know where to go, so I'd spend several minutes looking, and then I'd be like, oh, I can't find it. I'm failing at this somehow because I don't know the handout layout. And also having the handout layout not match the layout of the character sheet is just a little thing, but it really matters for somebody who pictures things visually. Yeah, in the order that the character sheet is. So you can say, oh, it's third down, and you look over here and it's third down, and it's under organizational moves, and it's under there. And once we started referring to them as like, oh, in the sidebar in the handout is where you want to look for. Like just having that little bit of clarification really helped make things easier.
Thank you.
And less panicky. So, yeah.
I would say my problem with Sen is more personal, not anything in particular with the system. Is because I came in on an ongoing situation, so I dropped in. I was able to do some stuff, but I was like any other new player, I had to play catch up, and so that might have slowed things down. So maybe the suggestions that were given would make things a little bit easier, and I think I also might have approached the tone, right? It was a hell of a fun tone. I love it. Usually I don't go for this wacky, crazy game so much, right? Usually when people be wacky and crazy on the table, it's like, okay, you're just trying to mess up with the flow, but this game actually encourages that, so it's pretty cool. But I might have come at with a more sort of like standardized, like, okay, I have my role, and this is what I do, and this is my character class, and not be more free-willing, perhaps. So I may have made choices in the beginning that sort of shoehorn me. I mean, still fun. I love playing Jacquard. Jacquard is a great character. But it might have sort of boxed me in my choices and sort of be kind of on the side. I was there, but there was already ongoing narrative. It was like, oh, that's fun. Okay, maybe I can do this. But
okay.
I was kind of hesitant to jump in places that I could have jumped more.
Yeah. I mean, me and Spook definitely had the advantage of playing together, playing a previous game, and we've run other game systems that are, let's say, more freewheeling, to use your term. And jumping in as a new player who, one, didn't know us as people, and two, didn't know the kind of system, you weren't able to decide the tone together. And it's sort of hard to describe, because we could say like, oh, I'm a tiny deer, but also like I have all this equipment. Like that doesn't always translate to how people play and their interactions with each other and what the GM allows. And you're definitely playing a very like classic like Stars Without Number character.
Yeah,
kind of
much.
Yeah. Which is good. You did a lot for how in the deep end we tossed you. So
I love the voice, by the way. It's fantastic.
Maybe there's some aspect of the bonds that could be used to help jumpstart people in, or maybe a reevaluation of that system, something like that.
The bonds are, I think so many of the bonds seem very similar to each other. Like there was one bond where I was describing what it was, and it was like one word difference, like one where they decide the secret and one where I decide the secret. And having those bonds is good to sort of like give that little seed between people. But maybe think of a
little bit. There's like
it's hard to say because they're all different on everyone's
the
sheet
same, and
too.
then there's like one
so you
or
can't
two
always,
at the end that'll be different.
Yeah, they're a little strange. Okay.
Yeah, I think one that's quite common and also is a little bit problem-ish is the tragically backwards one. I think it's like a good idea, but it just needs to be rephrased so that it's something a bit more active. Because say if someone thinks I'm tragically backwards, that's almost like a barrier between of whereas if it's more like they should change how they do things, or or just something slightly tweaked so that it instead fostered wanting to interact rather than wanting to be like, whoa.
Like make the bonds, make the wording of the bonds more active. Like they know a secret about me, okay, and I want to find out what it is. Like give us a motivation to work with them, and we can determine like how strong or how weak we pull from that. So we could play it as casual as we have, but it's sort of like giving us permission to remember these bonds so we can eventually use them for experience like your intention was. And that is, and remembering to like the bonds and the character traits and remembering to try to keep them in play to trigger experience. Because I think one of the things is like, if it makes things more interesting, I think everything in this game makes everything else more interesting. Like there's never a point when we're not doing something, we're not pushing the narrative, we're not interacting with each other in a unique way because of the dice, because of your moves, and just we have our own goals, you know.
So it's definitely not firing right. Yeah,
I'm not sure how experience would work
like
differently.
In Theorycraft, I think I love it, but
no, it's like things are happening all the time, you know. Yeah,
but that's kind of what the place is all about. You know, you sort of put it in there, and it's a good idea that if the players can't use it, you know, you have to go back and go, well, maybe, you know, it's not triggering for some reason, so we have to recalibrate
I changed timid to be more childish. They're really excited to do stuff. They had that impulsive hair trigger because kids will throw a tantrum at the drop of a cupcake. So
I mean, there's a lot of fun in the game, and that's like the hardest thing to like artificially inject. So just like making it run smoother is the easy part. Says the guy who's designed Zero games.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. That is.
So. That's all I can. Like right now.
Yeah.
And are you moving slowly to a 2D10 system instead of a 2D? Okay.
That.
Oh, sorry. One more thing. So like manufacturer consent. I never feel like it doesn't feel good manufacturing consent in the same way like soothing platitudes or something do. So once again, I think the job that manufacturer consent does is fine in the way it works. It just maybe needs to be rebranded, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because I always had like manufacturing consent always seemed a little skeezy. Like
especially with the baker when I was trying to do like a nice thing, it felt a bit like
Okay.
But
like you're
purely
trying to
because of the name.
So like all the other feedback, I'm like, sure, I'm totally on board.
It's a love.
I mean, and like I will certainly consider changing the name of manufacturing.
You love manufacturer consent.
So the reason that I'm attached to it is that it's lifted directly from Noam Chomsky. Like that's the name of one of his books, and it's like totally like this whole political thing about how
I know.
governments, rather than like doing this outright outright propaganda or like
Propaganda,
causing the citizenry to do X or Y at gunpoint. It's like, oh well, we just have this. There's like this media approach where the limits of debate structure structure opinion in the direction that the elites want it to go.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think my my take on that is that it sounds more like a clock thing. Like you start working on something, so that could be an name for a clock. Like this is your short-term, long-term goal to manufacture consent, so that you get this goal. But as a single move, like trying to convince people or influence them,
when I think of consent, I think of normally sexual relations, and manufacturing consent makes me think of long-term emotional abuse and gaslighting. Like you're long-term convincing this person, working them down until they agree to do what you want.
That too is an issue. Yeah.
Consent is a very strong word, especially now that people are talking about it. So that is just something to keep in mind as you label things. Yeah.
I mean, I totally get it. I'm a Chomsky follower, so I love him as a matter of course. But I think that what they're saying is important, and also that that it doesn't sound like an immediate move, as well as being contradictory. Like I press a button and I get this particular result. It doesn't seem. It seems like what you're working for, and also again, bringing what Spook was saying was that it feels contrary to the intent of the player in many ways.
Okay, so I'll add. Oops.
Although I understand about the naming, because I've been trying to name things in my own design. It's like I even forget the name. It's like, oh, but that was a great name, and I forgot it. It's like, and I gotta want to get it back, and everything's distinct to the other thing that doesn't sound the same thing. It's like
killing my baby, that it is in fact loaded and has this delayed connotation. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Kill your darlings.
It's complicated.
Ruthlessly.
You gotta choke your darlings. You gotta choke.
Kill your darlings.
Yeah. I do this because I love myself more than you. Die.
I love the world. You must die for to live.
Like most things in this show, that was a metaphor just for the easily confused. Don't blow things up to disseminate power. It doesn't technically work like that. Just to let you guys know.
You very rarely find clockwork planets that are as easily divided.
Who knows when with post singularity technology, it's one of those things. Well, okay, probably there won't be like the whole clockwork
and
thing,
the Earth could be hollow. Where's the science?
If one is trying to, if one is trying to create a gray goo scenario,
could be.
Or
say there's a chance.
Just to simulate like a Bethy solar phoenix by creating some sort of fusion reaction. Damn. Oh, okay.
I never got to explain my my squeeze ships. So they're very small. They're like every time we interacted with them, they got smaller and smaller. So I like to like when Spook's like I jump on like a surfboard. I'm like, yeah, they're that small now. That they're actually artificial intelligence hives, and that they can like tesseract out to be bigger ships, but they could be like different sizes depending on how compact they are. And they had this like artificial intelligence core, like in the beginning scene when the squeeze we were like stomping along the hallways, that was all virtual reality. So they had very few physical forms, which is why
That's awesome.
The thing was
and
so
reminds
important.
Me of,
They
like,
needed to get to a planet so they could have these
Banks,
physical shapes to do all these
wisps,
experiments with.
They're
Yeah.
I guess, like he introduced like the drones that are like the size of maybe a football, but were definitely like significant in terms of being like a military force all on their own. And then they also had like the 20 kilometer long world ships that were sentient and that people lived in and had like multiple environments.
Sure.
Are there any other like rules or campaign things to thrash out?
Not that I can think of.
Just
Spook?
one final thing. Yeah, the only kind of like flavor thing that is a bit weird is like is maybe just like taking the capitalism out of Capstone. Just because like I think having like some kind of megacorp or organization be the baddie is like good, but I think it just hits a bit too many logical barriers with the whole like post scarcity versus that thing. So I think them being about controlling people's minds and like the slot machines and stuff like that.
Yeah, they ended up like scaling into mind control and addiction instead of just just creds.
So I think just leaning on that side of them more rather than the cred side is like the only thing with the world that I'd tweak.
Although I would say, since we have a multiversal kind of thing, it actually would be, at least in this particular universe, a very good example of a sort of outside force coming in, like collision. So in the Eschaton universe we're in, that's not a thing because it's post, near or post scarcity, but a force that comes from a universe or a reality that is not that situation would be an invading force. I think it actually could even blend with the idea of those sort of dark forces, a capitalist Cthulhian force coming in.
And I like the fact that they changed during the game, because it's like they're coming in with a regular plan and they're like, wait a second, this isn't working for some reason. So they began to change it and adapt it to the narrative that we were telling.
That's true.
So
I think the point is
I like that.
Taken that there should be some sort of guidelines for MCs to better flesh out and make realistic the whole idea of a corporate structure trying to gain control within a post-scarcity environment. Like,
maybe mention things that aren't physical or aren't cred things, like their personalities or addiction or like time spent mining mind coins or whatever you want to do. Like, since there is no need for currency, remove that and replace it with something that you can't quantify, that is unlimited, but you can only use this, like people's mental energies. Eventually they'll either die or move on to another thing. So during that moment, and there's a potential for it to be limitless, but at that moment you only have a certain amount, so you always want more. You're always trying to maintain what you have.
Well, I mean, there's already built in the whole reputation system, so it could be, and not necessarily, but could be viewed in sort of a the corporates are trying to corner the market on the reputation economy. Think about it.
Yeah, the reputation thing didn't seem to play as much as I thought it would, but maybe that's just how we played this particular game.
Well, I mean that's
I'm not sure, but also it's portended.
It doesn't necessarily need like a rule structure.
Clap.
but some of the themes that I want to address with the game are the the like the merits and flaws of a reputation system, how that differs from other systems, like and just sort of like a an exploration of different like governmental and economic structures and how they play against each other and interact and yeah. Anyway, yeah, sure.
It's your baby. We're forcing you to chop off. Just really want like calamari right now.
Well, that's the thing about
those tasty
tentacles.
videos. They have trouble.
Cut off
man.
the ones that are. Yeah, you can cut off the ones that are no longer doing their job and still have plenty to
enough?
grow more and yeah, and tasty maybe. Okay. Well.
I'm so hungry.
Yeah. So on that note, hopefully not forever.
Yeah. We gotta go.
Would love very much
Goodbye
to game with all of you in the future, possibly near future. Yeah. But I think it is sadly time for like outros and shout outs and stuff like yeah. So who would like to go first?
Shoutros and all those.
Exactly.
Me, I'm the loudest. So I'm I stream art. I will be drawing more regularly. Recently, my schedule has been crazy with commissions, which is great. But my name is streaming twitch.tv/theposhpanda. I'm at Twitter at ADASER, Adazer. You can find me on Instagram and all my physical arts at Adazagram, because Adazer was taken because I don't know, for some reason. I don't know. I think something to do with Peru. Yeah. And be good to each other and talk about when rules are confusing and always have an open relationship with your players.
Awesome.
And foster a sense of friendship. And if it's not fun, don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I just be like all of that times 2 and then boom, I'm done?
No.
I mean, that was great.
Again.
Yeah. Also, I do a thing here
10
Wednesdays at a time. I don't know the time.
Pacific,
Changing the last time I played.
7 p.m. Central European. Okay.
I don't know what time
those are the two.
I don't know what time it is now.
Time zones in which I
know
know it occurs, and I guess if it's 10 a.m. Pacific, it's 1 p.m. Eastern, and I'm done.
Well, I guess I got to jump in there then. You can find me at twitch.tv/lesson1. Lesson learn 1. The 1 is important. Variety streamer, writer, working on a couple of projects every afternoon and evenings Atlantic time at 2 o'clock and 8 o'clock Atlantic time. I think it's 1 hour movement. And it's Eastern Standard Time US because, winter and all that. I'd like to thank everybody for being a great cast. As my first opportunity to be on a stream, it was awesome. The game was awesome. I was a bit lost a little times, but that just happens when you're just jumping into a new situation. So I love the cast. Love the fact that everybody was very lovely, and I just want to say thank you.
So
you're welcome.
You can. First of all, be excellent to each other, and thank you all so much for bearing with me and both for like the playtesting and like just hanging out, being friends, doing a campaign. You can find me here at twitch.tv/rpglory, or when it's not fucking up, which I think it was fucking up today, mixer.com/rpglory. Or you can find archives of all my stuff, and it's not quite as up to date as it usually is, but it's not too bad, not too far behind. At YouTube/C/rpglory, or you can yell at me more or less directly at on Twitter at rpglory DOTCOM. Yeah. So I guess we've kind of come to the end for now.
But the adventure only begins because you have so many new layouts to do.
Yes.
For your future games. And we all know
yes
you love
no.
them so much. It's really our gift to you.
I mean, I do kind of enjoy the process, but then there's always like all this last minute stuff that I wind up needing to do, which is slightly less excellent. Yes, not just to each other, but to yourselves.
Be excellent to yourselves.
The goddess resides in you.
Get that sound clip. Have that be Spook's text message.
Hello. She's actually in Wales, but I don't want to spoil the moment.
Thanks again, everybody. I love you all.
In
Bye.
Wales.